you're talking about assets, I think starting off, I see some form of proactiveness in the move by the state in all of this. But when we talk about protecting some of these facilities and infrastructure being put in place to help drive this power, what comes to mind again, we'll also look at the registration issue because there are so many questions that came up yesterday when some people were trying to register here, and perhaps maybe you should give answers to that. What has happened to the CCTV that should have been in place in Lagos State to help watch over some of these facilities and so many others in the state? Because when the NNPC and a couple of other investors spoke, they talked about vandals, and some of them are actually thieves and people who would actually steal some of these components, which ultimately will affect the distribution of power to homes and industries. How well have you been able to monitor some of these facilities for the investors?
The CCTV security system is there, but as you would know, it requires power. And some of the costs that we're looking at, we just met with the operator, some of the costs we're looking at in terms of powering, I think about 66 base stations that enable connectivity, ability to also record and keep data, is running into several billions of naira in a year. Now, that is cost that is avoidable if there is energy. But that said, the other point to make was that from no camera at all, we have a little over 1,000 cameras across an area of about 3,775 square kilometers, which is the land area of Lagos State. So if you do a rough division, you have like one camera to like 37 square kilometers, if my maths is any good. Now, other cities of the world have about 200 cameras per square kilometer area. But it's a quantum leap for nothing. Now, some of these assets that we also talk about are cables buried underground. And until we achieve that spread in terms of camera monitoring and all of that, we won't have the kind of coverage that we desire. But we've taken the first huge step. We are planning to add another 1,000 cameras, which increases the spread. But perhaps when it was predicted that the world would be dominated by cameras, those who made that prediction didn't really only think of CCTV cameras, because almost everybody I can think of now has a camera in his hand. So we're going to need that citizens' army also, and you guys are doing a wonderful job with the reporting, people sending images and stuff. So it helped us, for example, to detect, arrest, and detain one of our officers in road traffic management. So it's like a people's army round power that we will need. But there's also the issue of local policing. So if you make legislation, people steal cable and all of that, and all of the police now are channeled towards preventing, apprehending what I call very high crime, you still need a residual capacity to be able to deal with local and municipal issues.
When you talk about transportation or one of the transport officers, what comes to mind now is what I've called the Trinity in powering Lagos: transportation, housing, and agriculture. Let's see how this has been able to help drive the economy of Lagos, and if there are any challenges. We'll start off with transportation. And lately we saw the increase in the use of our waterways, our water transportation system, and quite unfortunate, we've actually seen some kind of accidents recorded which borders on safety. Tell us what your government is doing in developing the transportation sector, especially water transportation in Lagos.
Our major intervention today in public transportation is in road transportation. That's the biggest capacity that currently exists, and you will see expansion of the Lagos-Badagry Expressway, expansion of the Mile 12 Ikorodu Road, expansion of the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. By the time all of that finishes, what it means is that it should not take more than half an hour from those parts of Lagos to get into the economic spine, which is the center where everybody is currently clustered, and people still have to endure some hours of traveling. But there's a lot of work also, as you should be aware, going on in inner city roads, trying to create linkages and connectivity. And all of these, of course, you can link with housing, because the places where there's land in abundance now are not in the center anymore. And there's a reluctance for people to go and live in those places simply because I hazard a guess, it's the distance of getting to their workplace and to their business place. If it's no longer more than a 30-minute journey or a 45-minute journey, it's a 45-minute journey of pleasurable driving and commuting. And so it provides the necessary linkage to houses. And that's why we're building in Badagry, we're building in Shongotedo, we're building in Igbogbo, we're starting in Ibeshe, Ikorodu, and so many other parts of town.
How's it working, the housing issue?
It's doing very well, I must say. It's doing very well. About 3,000 units are going to be ready again by June, July, and we've started another 4,000 units going into procurement. Some have moved to site, some are waiting to complete their papers and start work. So it's doing very well.
Do you have any challenge in getting housing for the people?
Well, it's a big challenge in terms of the size of the deficit that has to be abridged. But I'm always convinced that once you start, you can incrementally reduce the deficit. There are sundry distractions that I don't think I want to dignify this platform with, but we will overcome them. They can only slow us down, but they won't stop us. So I am optimistic, and we're seeing results. Homeowners are emerging, which brings belief to the hard work that we have done, that it is possible to own a home if you work, if you are not corrupt. Those are the issues we try to achieve, and to show that hard work and your integrity can give you shelter, and we can help then increase the commitment of people to their work, knowing that their work is tied to their roof, and they won't lose their work if they don't misconduct themselves, and so on and so forth. And this is the way I think we can bring people back to participating and benefiting from a sense of inclusion in the economy.
Just before we move to other issues now, I want to quickly bring you back to the issue of power and Ehingbeti. What concrete, while we wait for the recommendations which will be given this morning, what tangibles are we looking to take away from here? What are you looking to see?
Well, I can't legislate the outcome of a summit. And as I said, this is a private sector summit convoked by us, co-chaired by us, and somebody from the organized private sector. So I am waiting to receive the resolutions, and from then we will move. But if anything, I think that the attendance and the level of participation, first of all, confirms that we have picked the topic of the moment. And once you build an army around a subject, around an issue, around a problem, every time Nigeria has confronted a single item, we have overcome it. So, and in that sense, I am optimistic.
I guess what I'm asking is your expectation. You don't have any? Or
Well,
you just...
Look, the expectation is that we will pool our resources together as a people. We will engage what is taken for granted across the world, which is becoming almost a jinx to us, and we will lay it to bed and exercise its ghost, so that we will have power, our economy will improve, people's livelihood will get better, they will save money that they otherwise spend in self-generating power, which costs 4 times more than the current tariff. And therefore, that can only increase and unlock opportunities. Because if you have 3 more times the money that you used to spend in your pocket, the tendency is that you will buy more and you will focus more on lifestyle goods. You will look after your family. You will put more food on the table. Your demand, effective demand power will rise. And that is going to be significant in an economy where retail is already doing very well. More outlets, more shopping malls, more jobs. It's really, as the summit team says, real opportunities and endless possibilities.
Part of what may pose itself as some sort of an impediment to some of these is the role of regulation. I mean, lots of complaints from consumers about the billing they've got, the irregularity with those billings, and they cry out several times to regulation, and it appears as though it's fallen on, who knows, deaf ears, for want of words. What could you say about some of the complaints you've heard?
Well, I've seen it before, and that was why our keynote speaker at the opening ceremony was the former president of Georgia, Michael Shakazvili. If people really think that there's a power problem here, they needed to see the situation in Georgia a few years ago. And the inspiration for me when I saw the Georgian story was that nothing is impossible, not even our power situation. People used to literally tear out their own hearts and fight themselves in order to make illegal connections. And, I think all we need to do really is probably get the documentary out there for people to see. I think I will try and find my copy. So if they could climb out from such very abysmal depths and overcome the power problem, I think the lesson is that we must be inspired that somebody has done it before in the not too distant past, so it's not locked up in some museum of history and those who did it are still alive. It's a no-brainer to simply go and see how they dealt with the human issues. So all of the regulatory issues that you raise are not unusual. These are issues that we used to have with NITEL. Every time you owned a telephone, then you needed to keep a separate file. And one day they just disconnect everybody and everybody files up in front of NITEL office, trying, as it were, to sort themselves out. Now all of your bills are on your phone, and if you don't pay, you don't get service. And so we're on a journey, really. And I understand them. I am optimistic about them. That is why I'm in government. There's a problem, so let's find solutions. Let's think ahead of the pack. Let's bring people who have done it before to share their experience, and let's inspire our people with the idea that it is possible. Because if people don't believe, then it's difficult to take them on a journey. And I hope that the Georgian experience provides that kind of inspiration for our people, that this is something that we can deal with in very little time. But people still have a responsibility. My experience with utility is that it is never in excess of demand. Supply is never in excess of demand. Supply aims to equate demand. But there's a lot of conservation that needs to go on. People must stop wasting power. Even the insufficient power, I argue, can be better utilized. People must shut down appliances that they are not using. Apart from the fact that it saves power onto the grid for those who need them, it also saves money in your pocket. We must conserve water, because indiscriminate use of water also results in power costs, because you need to produce water. So it's an attitude that as government we will lead the advocacy. We've started the initiative about saving power and conserving money, conserving energy and saving money under the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources in Lagos. So it's something that I would urge that platforms like you take up. You will see, perhaps in one of the video documentaries last night, we showed what was possible. People open running taps, trying to brush their teeth, and a mother comes in there, takes a glass, fills it with water, and shuts the tap. Those are the things we must do. We must switch off appliances we don't need, and so on and so forth.